So let's get into the area of interest that you have that fascinates me. Through archaeology, we know throughout history that dogs have been with man for, what would you say, 40,000? What's the latest on that?
Genetically, definitely by 20,000, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty positive like way before that. Because, when do you classify it a wolf versus a dog? It doesn't
Right.
happen overnight.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was sort of a gradual process.
Yeah.
So gray wolves are the ancestors of dogs.
It's
Is that a
either,
fact?
so it depends on like your school of thought, but it's either a gray wolf that's like around now, or just like they both shared like a common parent ancestor kind of thing. But they're wolves.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And the species of dog. Now, species just means all these animals share an ancestor. They could all fuck
Right.
and make an offspring. That's
Yeah.
why you have coy dogs, etc., wolf dogs, which you should not own, right? But people still do. I
think they
assume
do,
in
yeah.
Florida and Texas, there's a bunch of pet coyote dogs and wolf dogs.
With alligator.
Yeah, and occasionally they eat a baby, but it's kind of worth it for whatever they pay their neighbors to pet it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, 40,000 years I'd say was like the furthest part. But for species too, it's kind of a spectrum. And I just posted about this the other day. It's like not like gender or sexuality. Like they can't just like I choose to be a wolf
There's
today.
no non-binary wolves.
Yeah, I believe that would be the case.
Right.
But it's like, at what point do you have more like human DNA than I do? When does a dog have more dog DNA than a coyote?
Very interesting.
And they can all interbreed.
Right.
So what do we like? We don't understand species, but if they can have sex, they're about the same.
I love that. You never really hear about that. So you're saying, because yeah, usually it's like, okay, these are dogs, but when you look back at history, it was sort of a gradual process of them becoming dogs, and so they were some percentage more or less a dog and more a wolf. They
Yeah.
were kind of on that spectrum.
So when you go out looking for like skulls of like dogs and stuff like that, like how do you know? Because a dog's skull is a little more scrunched together. It's like shorter because you're breeding into. You want it to look cuter. That's what domestication is really. You're making it less intimidating. But a wolf skull is a little more robust. So there's no Pokemon evolution in the world. So when does that change? So it's really hard to say, like, is this a wolf or is it a dog? And that creates debates, and they get calipers out and measure it. And they're like, well, I don't think so. And like, it's the genetics can tell us. But again, with the genetics,
Right. Now, the first dogs, from what I understand, they were the lowest on the totem pole. They weren't the alpha. They weren't the sigma. They were, what would you call that? The beta. They were some beta wolf.
Cucks.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Cucks.
Yeah.
They were the cucks of the crew. They were the cucks of the pack. So the cucks, when times get a little harsher, dogs work together and are extremely social. Men and women work together. They're not men and women, but they're female and male dogs kind of work together. Everyone hunts together. They do take care of each other. There is an order. Am I still correct?
Yeah.
And then, from what I understand, when times get a little harsher, they expel the weaker dogs, right? They send those off. And those
Yeah.
are brutal to watch. It's when like they just all start biting at him, right? And just
Yeah.
send them off.
And he gets rejected or whatever.
Yeah, he gets sent. They swipe right on his ass.
Yeah.
And they send him off and say,
He
get
gets
packing.
canceled. Yeah. So
Now, are these the ancestors? Are these the specific ancestors of the domesticated dog? Because then they become wandering dogs. They're the weaker ones. And are they the ones that started showing up around campfires and getting scraps?
correct. Yeah. And if you think of it, humans are like super social animals. Like we talk, we hunt together, do all that stuff. Chimps would be the closest related to us. We can get into that later too, but
Not if you don't believe in evolution.
that's true.
Right. The closest to me is Adam and Eve. And that's where I stopped listening.
Yeah. Where does
Yeah.
John Stamos come in on that?
John Stamos is a descendant of Adam and Eve. I'm a descendant of Adam and Eve. You're a descendant of Adam and Steve.
There we go.
Yeah.
So
Because men can get pregnant. So
Yeah.
Steve got pregnant.
you got to define
Yeah.
man. So yeah, if you think of it though, like humans are very social. Wolves are extremely social. They talk to each other, like you're saying. They nip at each other. They submit to each other. And if you ever watched like wolves hunt on like a Yellowstone documentary, it's like pretty sweet to watch. Like they talk to each other, they like tag team it in and stuff.
How do they communicate with each other when they're hunting?
Body language, and like they don't bark because that would scare it away.
Right.
But they like just communicate like through like eye contact and stuff like that.
It's incredible. And do they set like a plan, like with an ambush, and like they force because a lot of times they're taking down prey that's bigger than it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it requires such teamwork, right? They're taking down like a big buffalo or whatever. Do they set traps the way that lions do sometimes, or orcas? Because these are other social hunters.
So like people, wolves are coursers, so they just keep running and running and running until the prey collapses from exhaustion.
Wow, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So they're not the fastest, but they're sort of like they're like marathon runners. They're kind of like Kenyans.
Yeah.
Who is it that runs? Is Kenyans, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, dogs are like Kenyans. They just keep going. They tire you out until they mark. So they tire you out. They keep running, and until they find a mark, right? They find someone slipping behind, usually one of the children, one of the younger smaller one, and then that one's fucked. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Why are animals so? Dogs are brilliant. Orcas are brilliant. Hyenas are fucking wild.
Yeah.
As you know, lions are even a little smarter. Why are these big animals so fucking stupid that they don't realize, hey guys, we got these little fucks chasing us. We're huge. There's a bunch of us. If we just stop running and turn around and stomp the shit out of these fucking canines, they won't never be able to eat again. Is it just nature? It's programmed? Because I'm not wrong, right? I mean, they're so much bigger than the wolves.
I think it does happen sometimes, but like why they don't always do that, no idea. Like they don't really have that.
Maybe the dogs just annoy them so much they just keep chasing them. Maybe they turn around a few times and they're like, all right, this time's going to intimidate them. I'm going to intimidate him now, and the dog just backs off, and then they keep running, and the dog just keeps. That's kind of what happens. And they tire them out, and then just kind of give up, right? All right, eat me, right?
Yeah, and then they have to sit there and suffer for like hours while a wolf eats them. But.
Yannis Pappas.